Hello guys, can you hear me? Okay, so we are going to start now. So basically, this session is all about the ASP.NET Core on Linux. Like we have heard a lot many things about ASP.NET, but like we never tried ASP.NET on Core on another platform, right? So this session is all about like how you can develop applications on ASP.NET Core on Linux platform. So myself, Jalpesh, I am a co-founder of Future Tech Solution. I have been using ASP.NET Core now more than 2 years. Like I have started when it was there in beta. And I'm a full stack developer. I write blog and I have been awarded Microsoft MVP for 6 times. Hello, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Uh, So let's go to the, so here is the agenda which we are going to talk, like what are the current closed platform landscapes for .NET. So basically, like let me start from again as few of the participants has joined again. So basically this session is all about ASP.NET Core on Linux. Here we are going to learn like how we are going to have ASP.NET Core running on Linux machine and how we can develop applications with Linux and ASP.NET Core. So I am Jalpesh Vadgama. I am a co-founder of a small company called Future Tech Solution. I have more than 12 years of experience in ASP.NET and related technologies. I have been using ASP.NET Core more than 2 years now. So basically, I've been using it from when it was there in beta. I am a full stack developer. I write my blog. Uh, I will share my contact details at the end of the end of the sessions, and I have been mentoring few people for writing blogs and like for the technology purpose. Also, I have been awarded Microsoft MVP in CM Visual Studio and related technologies 6 times. So let's go over the agenda of this particular session. Okay. Okay. So this is the agenda. The current we are going to see what are the current cross-platform landscape for .NET. Then we'll see like how we are going to see ASP.NET, like evolution of ASP.NET and understanding of the ASP.NET Core. Then we are going to talk about ASP.NET Core features. Like I'm just going to give you highlights of features. I'm not going to talk about the ASP.NET Core features in particular, because like this session is all about like having stuffs in Linux. Then we are going to talk about like which framework is the right one, like whether you should go for ASP.NET Core or .NET Core or .NET full framework, which is only run on Windows. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll see like how ASP.NET Core works with Linux. Then also we will see like what are the dev environments available on Linux and how we can develop applications with the help of tools like Visual Studio Code. Then also we'll see about the .NET command line tools, which is like called .NET CLI. And then at the end, we'll have questions and answers. So like keep putting your questions and answers in chat. We'll take one by one. I will give you the specific time when we are going to have a question and answer there. Okay. So are we all good? Should we move ahead? So first, we are going to talk about the current cross-platform landscape for .NET. So this is the landscape right now. We have 3 things available. One is .NET Framework, which is already distributed with Windows 10 or any any reason after Windows 7, like it is always been like distributed as a standard package in Windows, and this is like a full feature framework, and it is only available on .NET and works with iOS only. Then the other stuff, like then we have .NET Core, which is like a cross-platform and open source framework, and it is optimized for like current modern web development scenarios. Like for example, you can develop distributed app, you can develop microservices, you can develop console app, even you can develop apps which runs on Docker. So that is why like .NET Core is there, and the best part of that is it's a cross-platform thing, so you can develop it on Windows, Linux, or Mac, anywhere. So that is the another thing. Then we have Xamarin, which is like a cross-platform and open source platform for developing like applications for iOS, as well as now it's also available in Android also. So you can develop iOS or Android application. So basically, there are three pillars of .NET landscape. One is which is like full .NET framework, where you run all things on Windows only. Then we have a .NET Core, where it is cross-platform and it can be run on anything, like Linux, Mac, or Windows, anywhere. And then we have Xamarin, which is like a cross-platform mono runtime based SDK, which can be used to develop applications for iOS and Android. So let's move to the another part. So this is the another step there. What kind of application you can develop here? So we have, if you can see at bottom, we have common infrastructure. So we have now compilers, like there is a one compiler developed recently for ASP.NET Core, which is like an open source, and it can be used for like .NET Framework or .NET Core or Xamarin. So it is one of the common compiler which can be there. Then we have languages available right now. ASP.NET Core is only supported in C#, but in .NET Framework full version, you can have VB.NET also there, and you also have F#. In .NET Core, like there is a F# library there also, from which you can also develop ASP.NET Core application. But like most of the cool new stuff right now available only on C#. Then we have Xamarin, where like at bottom, like like there is a common thing like runtime components. So we have core CLR, we have .NET full .NET framework, and we have mono libraries there. So these all things are there for sharing the common infrastructure and which runs on any platform. And then like we have basically like, so in .NET Framework, you can develop any kind of application, whether it's a WP app or whether it's a Windows form, you can develop ASP.NET there. And base libraries is there as a class library. In .NET Core, we have like, even you can develop UWP in full .NET Framework. Here right now we have UWP as well as ASP.NET Core. And we also do have Signaler application, which is like part of ASP.NET Core. And the base class libraries are like a .NET standard class libraries, which can be used for like .NET Core as well as Xamarin also. Then, so this is the like three parts, which is like now divided into three common pitfalls, where we have like one for specific for Windows, one for like cross-platform development, and one for only for like the mobile and tablet devices. Okay, fine. So should we? So I'm going to move ahead. So now we understand that we have like three things. One is full foot .NET framework, one is ASP.NET Core, and one is Xamarin. Now we are going to see how the ASP.NET Core evolved. So basically, I'm going to start with 90s, where we have like ASP, which is called Classic ASP, Active Server Pages, where we used to develop applications in ASP pages, and it is like not a compiled language, which is it is kind of interpreted where like you have to write code for HTML and other stuffs in VB, and you can develop like there will be one file only where you need to mix and match your server-side code as well as your client-side code and your HTML part. So that was the ASP thing. Then like I think in 2001, ASP.NET Web Forms introduced, so which is still there, which was a event-driven programming model where like you have some events, and based on that events, you can do lots of stuff. Like for example, if you want to click on a button, there will be a button click event, and then button click event you can write stuff. Then after that, I think around 2007 or 2008, ASP.NET MVC was introduced. Okay, and in that ASP MVC, like we have like a modern infrastructure for MVC, where like you can separate your three parts like model, view, controller, and basically you write your business logic code in controller. The view will work as your front end part, and models are the entities or your business entities where you can represent the real world entity, for example, employee. Then after ASP.NET MVC, there was like ASP.NET Web Pages. Web Pages is again kind of a mix and match approach where like you can write same HTML client side and server side code in a single file, whether it's called like CH HTML, and but like it was like a compiled thing. It was like slightly different than the active server pages, because like active server pages is a interpreted language. Then we have got ASP.NET Web APIs, which is like used for like developing REST APIs or like APIs for the mobile services or any other client framework, like for example Angular. And then we recently, before 2 years, like Microsoft has started a framework called ASP.NET. Earlier, like it was called ASP.NET MVC6, because like there was no particular name, but like then Microsoft renamed it to ASP.NET Core, because like that is not a new version of the MVC framework. It was like built from the ground up, and it was like cross-platform, and there are so many other things there. Like you can develop a MVC application, you can develop web APIs. So let's see how like ASP.NET Core works, or like what is ASP.NET Core. So it's a open source and cross-platform framework. You can see basically there like on GitHub, you can see like it is being developed as an open source framework, and it is cross-platform. So basically you can run this ASP.NET Core on any operating system like Mac or Linux or Windows by default. It runs on like there are options to use .NET Core or full .NET framework. Like you can also utilize the ASP.NET Core features on full .NET framework. and there is one called .NET Core. So like there is a key difference between .NET Core and full .NET framework. .NET Core is the only cross-platform thing. Like when you use full .NET framework, you can still utilize the ASP.NET Core features, but like it will only run on Windows. So if you want to develop an application on ASP.NET Core on Linux, then you need to understand that you need to use ASP.NET Core only, because it is the cross-platform framework. It is a unified web framework for building like modern web UIs and web APIs. We know that like nowadays mobile first, cloud first vision is there from Microsoft. So we need to build lots of REST API services. In fact, we are going to build one to demonstrate like how we can develop things in ASP.NET Core. So I'm going to demo that you in future, like in some time. So it's kind of a unified framework. So like earlier, what was there, like in ASP.NET MVC, you need to either write JSON result to result JSON, or like you need to create a separate web API project where you can create a REST API. In this particular ASP.NET Core, basically it's like built in. So it doesn't matter like whether you are going to return a view from it or you are going to return a JSON. So you don't need to like choose whether you are going to build APIs, or the only thing you need to care about is create a controller and then return whatever you want to return, like whether it's a view or view component or like a JSON. The another cool part of ASP.NET Core is built-in dependency injection. So earlier, like, let me have one question for you. How many of you have used a dependency framework? Like reply on chat. Like anybody use? Okay. So you know like what is dependency injection. So basically it's a framework to remove the dependency of other layers on the existing layers. So basically, like let's say you have your business logic layer and you have your database layer. So earlier, like without dependency injection, you need to do what you need to do is like you need to create a reference like to database stuff, and then based on that, like you need to hard code everything. But with the dependency injection framework, your like layers are loosely coupled. So at that time, like there was no unified built-in dependency injection framework. So we used to have framework like Ninject, Unity, Structure Map. There is one called AutoFac. So we all used to do that manually. But like with ASP.NET Core, you have built-in dependency injection. So that is one of the coolest things that we can say. So you can, it is like built in there, and you can use dependency injection frameworks there with ASP.NET Core. The other cool part is like it is lightweight, and like it is having modular HTTP request pipeline. So why it is lightweight? Because the thing is there, like in earlier version of ASP.NET MVC, you have one big giant file, very big giant file there called system.web.mvc, where it contains many stuff, like whether you want to have HTTP modules or session, or there are so many things bundled into one giant file. In ASP.NET Core, it's now modular. So let's say if you don't want to use session, then you don't need to have that included in your machine. So basically, like now, one giant file is divided into like smaller NuGet packages, and that way, like you need to include only those things which are there for which are there for like your application. So whatever you need, that only you need to include. There is no by default thing like whether if you add a reference to a one giant file, then it will like have that stuff there. And like as I told you, like it is like shipped as a NuGet package. Uh, so it is shipped as a entirely as a NuGet package. So like let's say you want to add a entity framework, then like there is no by default thing there. You need to add a NuGet package for there. Same way, like for example, you want to use caching. So by default, the caching was not there earlier. Like in ASP.NET MVC, it was there by default. So for now, you need to add those stuffs via NuGet packages. And another cool part is like it integrates very well with client-side libraries, frameworks like Angular, React, Backbone, Vue.js. So I have developed like lots of application with ASP.NET Core as a backend and like frontend as a Angular. And recently we have developed Vue.js and it works like a charm. Now let's move to the another part. Like it is also like very pretty good for like building cloud-based applications like web apps, mobile backends, IoT apps. So like there are so many things you can do. IoT apps is kind of an apps where like your backend server will receive some data from your IoT devices, and then like based on that API calls, you need to manipulate your data. It can be also used for like machine learning and AI. The pretty good example is Microsoft Cognitive Services, where you can use Microsoft Cognitive Services as a face recognition or a speech recognition algorithm. And it is much, much, much faster than ASP.NET Core. Like as per, like there is a third-party benchmark. I forgot the name, what is called, but like it is not from Microsoft. It is from the third-party company who did comparison with ASP.NET Core and the ASP.NET 4.6, and it was like like it was serving like more than 2,300 requests per second as compared to ASP.NET 4.6. So you can see like how much modular it is and how much small it is and how much performance wise like better it is. So now we are going to move to ASP.NET new features. So basically, like as we all know, like Razor is the standard thing for developing views and other stuffs. Like now we also have like ASP.NET Razor pages, which can be created. Then like as I said, like there is a unified core reference. So now you don't have different DLLs for like web APIs as well as the view controllers. It is all there in Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.on. It is pretty simplified. Like if you see, compare it with ASP.NET MVC, like in startup file, like of ASP.NET MVC, like there are so many things there. Now it is like simplified there, and you have like pretty basic stuff, which I'm going to show you in a while. And then like basically it is simplified, like that's what we. And now you have like a concept of middlewares, which is there for like other languages. Like in Node.js, you also have some middlewares there. Same way, like in ASP.NET Core, you can have middlewares now, and that middleware act as a middleware between your request and response. So let's say you want to create a middleware for your authentication stuff. Let's say you want to serve a request from specific IPs, then you can create a middleware there, and that middleware can host your request is like it will filter your request and check whether like this request is from like your allowed IPs or not. If not, then they will not return the responses. It will be like handled by middleware itself. And if it is allowed, then it will be it will be there with response. It also support Visual Basic, but like the stuff in Visual Basic is still like you can say like not recommendable. Like most of the people are going with C# only. And like as we all know, like expanded OS support is there. So there are like lot many steps going on with the OS support. Like now there are so many distributors which are supported there in which are supported in multiple OSs. And now with .NET Core Framework 2, we have like a standard of APIs, which is called .NET Standard 2.0, which is like a standard developed by Microsoft and the open source community. If you follow that standard, like .NET Standard 2.0, like it will be automatically supported by multiple platforms. So like let's say you follow that standard on a particular application, it can be used by other applications, for example, Xamarin or other application which support like .NET 2.0 standard. So basically there are certain rules and regulation which you need to follow, and that that will help you like using same code for like multiple platforms. Let's say you can use same .NET standard 2.0 class library to your full .NET framework. You can use that to core your core CLR or ASP.NET Core applications, and you can also use it to for your Xamarin stuff also. So that is one of the coolest thing I have heard. And as I told you, like it is also having full .NET assembly support also. But like again, I'm pinpointing specific thing like full .NET version will only work on Windows. It won't work on Linux. And there is one another thing is there like earlier like we used to have CS HTML file and not part of a compilation. Now with ASP.NET Core, like it will compile as DLL. So like there are very less chances where like other people who even got your access to your server can modify your front end and other steps. There are ways like you can disable this stuff, but like by default it is like compile as a DLL. So there are like different questions related to middlewares. So middleware is not necessarily like required for running a ASP.NET Core application, because like it is already like have a lot many steps there in built-in which act as a middleware. So you don't need to create a middleware there. But like as I said, like there are some scenarios where you can have like lot many steps done by middleware, like your authentication stuff, your caching stuff. Like there are ways where you can, like let's say there are some requests which returns same kind of data. So for that, like you can create a cache middleware, and then you can do steps. Now let's move to which framework is right one for me. So basically, as I said, like there are two types of framework for ASP.NET, full like ASP.NET Core and ASP.NET Full framework. So in ASP.NET Core, we have like it can be built for like Windows, Mac, and Linux. Like so it's a cross-platform thing. While in ASP.NET or ASP.NET Full framework, it is only work with Windows. Here in ASP.NET Core, we have Razor Pages, ASP.NET MVC Core, views, which is same as almost same as ASP.NET MVC views to build UI. here, like you can use either web forms or your MVC views or web pages to build UI. The another cool benefit of ASP.NET Core is you can have multiple versions per machine. So let's say you have one application running on ASP.NET 1.1, and like on same web server, you want to have ASP.NET 2.0. So it is possible to have like multiple versions per machine. So it won't affect, and you can like set limits there. There are ways to set limits. And here in ASP.NET, like earlier, like it was there, like some limited support there, but like most of the time, it will be a single version. So like let's say if you use .NET, if you are using .NET 4.5 and if you install .NET 4.6, there will be some DLLs or some files which will be upgraded to latest version. The other thing is here with ASP.NET Core, like you can develop lot many stuff. Like either you can develop it with Visual Studio Code on Visual Studio full on Windows, or you can have a Visual Studio Code editor, or even now we have Visual Studio for Mac, and there is one cross-platform ID from JetBrains called Rider, which is also there, like which works on Windows, Linux, or Mac. And here, like full framework can be only developed with Visual Studio. It is the limitation which we have. Other cool stuff which we talked already about is the high performance. Here, like we were having good performance compared to other languages, but still, like if you compare it with ASP.NET Core, there are so many other things, right? It is much more faster than a normal ASP.NET framework. So now we came to our main part. So basically, like what we are going to do is like we are going to see how we are going to run ASP.NET Core on Linux. So let's first go through supported Linux version. So like there are a lot many Linux versions which are supported and which are like popular also. Like let's say I'm going to show you things on Debian, right? But so like Debian is supported, like Red Hat Enterprise Linux is supported, and Enterprise Linux is kind of like a paid support from Red Hat. So it is also supported. Microsoft has built partnership with Red Hat people to have support on it, and like it's like you can see Ubuntu is there, Linux Mint is there. So like most of the Linux distributions which are like pretty popular is now supported, and we also have one poll running there, like for example, like which version of which Linux distribution you are using for uh, Linux in your machine. So let's move to this part, like how to install ASP.NET Core on Linux. So here, I like to save times. I already installed it on my machine because it will take some time. But here you can see like you have fully requested steps there. So here you can see all these supported version there. And here, like there is a great documentation where we can see like how we can install stuffs with .NET Core. So what I did is like I'm going to use Linux Debian machine. So I followed this stuff here. So you can run like first update. Let me zoom it if you can see. Yeah. So I have run this update stuff, and then I have added this Linux lib lip wind stuffs, which is like part of a Crystal web server, which runs on, which is like a cross-platform web server there. Then like you have that call thing there, a standard for all the Linux stuffs to add your like packages update, and then you can install something like this. So like you can see like here we are going to install SDK. Like there are two steps there. Like there is a version runtime there and SDK also there. But if you want to develop an application, then you need to install SDK, because like it will have like few other features there except runtime. Same way for ASP.NET Core 1.x, you have same kind of instructions there. So that is the like pretty basic stuff. So let me log in into my Linux machine. So here you can see this is the Linux Debian machine, which is there in my virtual box. I am running in virtual machines in Windows. So here at the end of stuff, you can see like you need to check like whether the .NET framework is installed properly or not. So we are going to see that stuff. So we are going to run .NET version, and here you can see there is a version 2.0 installed on my machine. Also, like if you heard about like Linux, you can also see where the .NET is located. So here you can see like it is there under user bin.net folder, which is like pretty standard for any Linux machine. Basically, like it's very easy to install it with runtime, and like you can run the command from here, and I'm sure like you definitely will help. Like it will be piece of a cake to install, but like it takes around 5 to 10 minutes to install this all stuff. So that's why like I don't like we don't have that much time to wait for it. So I already installed in my machine. Let's move to the another part. So don't worry about the version stuff and other stuff. So I'm going to show you in my demo. Let's first talk about the dev environment on Linux. So there are like lot many steps there on Linux. You have OmniSharp, which is a open source plugin system for ASP.NET Core, and it supports like lot many uh, editors there. So you can develop ASP.NET Core with Visual Studio Code, either Sublime Text. You can use Atoms, Vim's, Bracket, even Emacs is also there, which is kind of a like Vim and Emacs are kind of a cool editors, which have like, and there is one cross-platform full-fledged IDE from JetBrains called Rider, which is a paid version. So you need to pay for it, but like it is still cheaper than the Microsoft Visual Studio. So in this session, we are going to use like there are so many options available, but like we are going to use Visual Studio Code, because like that is one of the coolest editor. And let me remind you, like this is not a full-fledged integrated development environment. So you don't get all the features of Visual Studio there, but like there are plugins there with the help of that plugin, like you almost got all the features that is you needed for your development stuff. So let's talk bit about the Visual Studio Code, and then again we'll go into our Linux machine and see like how it looks and works. So basically it's a cross-platform open source editor from Microsoft. It is just not only syntax highlighting, you will actually get IntelliSense. which is not possible with every editor. Like in Sublime Text, like you have limited support, which is there with OmniShop. But here, yeah, you will get like lot many stuffs. Even you got debugging stuffs there. Okay. So like full debugging experience is also there with ASP.NET Core. So you don't have to worry about that stuff. Then like there are a lot many plugins available, and like Git is already built in. So you don't not to install Git a plugin for Visual Studio Code. It is already built in. And there are so many plugins available for like SVN, TFS, Mercurial. So you don't have to worry about your source code versioning. It is, as I said, like there are so many plugins available. There are more than 2 lakh plugins is there right now on the Visual Studio Code marketplace. And it is like having extensible support and like customization. So even you can develop your plugin with VS Code, and this editor is again like an open source editor. So you have full source code available to you guys, and you can modify as per your requirement. The another cool stuff is like it is not that much heavy like Visual Studio. It is pretty lightweight and very powerful. Like you get almost all kind of features there. And like as I told you, like there are so many languages are supported. So like it is like there are few steps that is there in build, which is one is JavaScript, TypeScript, and Node.js. So think about it like it is a open source editor from Microsoft, and you don't have built-in support for C#. Microsoft is now quite a change company. Like earlier, like Microsoft only focused on their particular product. Now they focus on community, what community likes, what community dislikes, and based on that, like they support. So you see, like there is a built-in support for Node.js, and like there are rich ecosystems of extensions, and uh, people are using Visual Studio Code for lot many like lot many languages. I have seen people who are like having background of Golang. If you heard like about the Golang, which is a Google language, or like Google, it's a open source language from Google, and the Visual Studio Code is having one of the best support for Visual Studio Code Golang plugin, and it is being developed by Microsoft with the Google community and Go people, so that like you have one of the best experience there. And I have seen people are using like crazy. Again, like there are like there was one question there, which is like there are what are the list of plugins which is there. I'm going to show you like some of the plugins in my demo, so don't worry about that, which will like help you create functionality faster. So this is the again like from this link you can see like how you can set up stuffs. So here, like I have written a specific introduction for Debian because I am using Debian, but like it is there on this link. I will share these links with you guys, so don't worry about that link stuff. So basically, it supports all kind of Linux version, Mac. Here you can see that. So here you can see like it is supported with Linux, Mac, and everywhere. And there are like marketplace also. Here you can see like there are tons of plugins available. Here you can see like there is a like the trending of this week is not having a single thing from Microsoft. Like it is having Spring Boot, you have Python, and here also you can see like the most popular plugins from other languages like Python, C++, you have ESLint. So there are like lots of cool plugin available there. So same thing like here you can use curl command to get repositories of Microsoft, and then you can install like sudo apt-get install code. There is an insider build also there, just like we have Windows insider builds here also there, but like in that it might be possible like there are some features which might block. So for that I would recommend to use the stable version of code. If you are interesting to see like what is coming in the next version, then you should go for the full version of the Visual Studio. So let me show it to you. So I'm going to go to my one of the predefined builds application. So now I am going to use code command to open that Visual Studio Code for me. Okay, so this is a full-featured ASP.NET Core application, and it is there with like full-fledged MVC. So here you can see there are like controllers inherited from the home controller, inherited from the controller, and here it's returning the view. And under views, you can see like it is pretty standard view there with like ASP.NET Core. There was one question there, like whether the WPF is supported or not, but till now there is no official support from WPF. There is one community there, I think it is WPF or something like that. I forgot the name, but which is like providing some kind of support for WPF on Linux. But like there is nothing from official from Microsoft. So here you can see like full-fledged application is there, and from here like you can add extensions there. So here there are few extensions which I want to show. So like this is like a extension from Rahul Sai, who is one of the MVPs from India, and he created an extension to create a snippets. Like let's say you want to create a controller, then like you just need to write controller like from MVC core action or MVC command. Like from command line you can have a write home controller and it will create a controller. Then this is the extension packs which is like ASP.NET Core extension pack, which contains like sub extensions. So here you get C# extension, which provide full-fledged support for IntelliSense. Let me show you. Here you can see, right? You can see view bay, view component. There are a lot many cool stuff there. Then there is like helpers are also available, so you can create a lot many steps with your views, and you can have inbuilt support for your actions and few other steps. Yeah, IntelliSense is already available with like C#. So let's say, as I told you, like TypeScript, JavaScript, and Node.js will be built in. For any other language, you can find the extension. Like for example, if you need to have IntelliSense with Python, you need to install that extension for Python. And if you search in Google, like it will be there from the community. And like there are so many other plugins, like for example Python, Google Go, which is like also supported by Microsoft. Okay, so now let's let's move into the .NET CLI stuff. Okay, I already showed you the versioning thing with the .NET CLI. We are going to see a few more demos there with .NET CLI. Okay, so let's go through what is .NET command line tools, and then we'll have a demo where we are going to create a API applications and see what we can do with VS Code and .NET CLIs or .NET command line tools. So .NET command line tool is a new cool cross-platform tool chain for developing ASP.NET applications. So basically, like just like Node in Node.js, you have npm, right? Same way, you have like NuGet packages, and to manage those NuGet packages and run the applications, like just like in a Node, you have Node or nodemon app.js. Here you have .NET Run, .NET Build, .NET Restore. We'll go through all of, like few of them. Okay, and like basically it's a foundation. So like if you have IDs and few other steps available, like in background, it will always going to use CLI. Like even you can build your extensions with this CLI stuff and create your own UI. And as I told you, like ASP.NET Core is side by side, so you can use two different versions of ASP.NET on same machine. Same way, like CLI is also is having side by side stuff. So basically, it can be exist like with multiple machines. Multiple versions on single machine. So we'll go through like what are the .NET commands there. So like basically there are three types of commands. One is basic commands, like as I told you, like .NET version, .NET new to create a new console app or web or API app. Then there is the restore command. There are many commands there to run. Like for example, if you want to create your test there, then it will run test based on these steps. Then there is a project modification command where you need to add a package. For example, if you want to use entity framework core in one of your application, then like you need to add a package, and then you need to restore that package. So we'll see in a bit like how we can do this. Then there are like some advanced command, like if you heard about myget, like there are NuGet repositories which is hosted on some another repository, not officially from my NuGet. For that, this command is useful, but mostly we are going to work with like basic command and project modification commands, because like this advanced command is not required for normal people. Like it is kind of people who are using like their private NuGet packages, or like there are some other specific code which is there required to have like those NuGet packages on locals. At that time, it is useful. Except that, like it will be like mostly other stuffs. Let's open this so you can have a better idea. So here you can see like there are tons of commands, and you will have all these steps. For example, if you want to publish an application, so here you can see like .NET publish, and then you can write a project name there, and it will do same stuff there. Same way, like you can add packages. So like it is, the syntax is like .NET add package, right? We'll going to see all these steps in a bit, so don't worry about it. And we are going to share these links and this presentation with you guys, so there won't be any problem. Okay, so before moving into question and answer steps, let's directly jump into the Linux machine and we'll see how we can develop applications with Visual Studio and .NET Core. So you guys can see my Linux screen, right? Can anybody confirm from chat window? Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. So let's make a directory called test console. Okay, so we have created that directory and we are going to go into that directory. Now we are going to run the CLI command. Okay, .NET new console. So here we are going to create a console app. Okay, so it's running that command and now it is done. So let's run our Visual Studio Code to check. Let's close this previous one. So here you can see like any other console app, we have same thing there. So here, this is a feature of Visual Studio Code. Like it is saying that like we need to add some files to debug this application. So we are going to add it. Now let's open this stuff. Okay. So here you can see it is a pretty standard console app and you can write anything. Okay, so here you can see all the cool bits there with the proper IntelliSense. Even you get some help there. Okay. Okay, let's now let's run this. First, let's build this application. Let me create some error there, so we'll have idea. So you can build your application with .NET Build. So it's going to build and give us some error. Yeah, semicolon is not there. Let's do something else. And I haven't saved it. That's why it was there. Here you can see like you get all these stubs. Like there are 3 errors there. Like semicolon is expected, the bracket is expected, and there are like some new line constants. So we are going to again change it to the proper one, and then we are going to run again build. Okay, so here you can see like build is succeeded now and you don't have any warnings or any errors. Now you can run this via .NET Run. So it's a console app, so you will see output itself in console. Here you can see like hello world and welcome to .NET Fix. Same way like Visual Studio Code also get built-in console there. From here also you can run this same thing. If you don't want to run a full-fledged console, see here you will get the same idea. The another steps which I want to talk about is like the API stuff. Like let's see how we can create an API with this, and then we'll move to the question answer steps. So let's go back to our desktop thing. Let's make a directory called API. Okay, let's move back to that API directory. Now I'm going to create a API stuff. Okay. Now we are going to open code via this. Okay, so here you can see startup file is there. As I told you now, like startup file is pretty simplified. So here this is the inbuilt dependency injection. Here you can create your own dependency injections with this service collection class, and you can use you can create services there and add here, right? Let me go into the controller part. So here you can see like in that API controller also, we don't have anything like API controller. It is like now unified, and it will be always inherited from APIs. And here we have written our route stuff, right? So let's first let's first run this application. Let me build it first, so you can get an idea like whether it's got any error or not. Okay, there is no error. Now let's run it. Okay, here you can see like it's listening on port 500. Okay, so let's open a browser. Here you can see like it's returning value 1 and value 2, which is there on controller itself. Okay, so from here it's returning like by default browser handles get, so it is returning that stuff there. Now let's create our own controller and own cool stuffs. So let me create a folder called model. In that model, I want to create a class called employee. I just wanted to copy paste the namespace, so let's do it. And here we are going to have model. Now I'm going to create a class called employee, and see, as soon as I have created a class, here you can see like whether there is any reference there, and if it is having reference, then it will show the reference there. Even if I create any properties there, here you can see like it is showing a reference for that also. Okay, now let's create a controller. I'm not going to create all methods, but let's create only get one to get an idea. Now we are going to copy paste this stuff to save time. Yeah, I forgot to copy this stuff also. Linux is pretty sensitive about the extensions, so you need to do that. And here you can see like there is an error because like we already have API controllers there. So this is the beauty of Visual Studio Code. And here we are going to return the employee. Okay. So from here you can see there is a squiggly, and it is suggesting us to use API model. So we are going to have, and now that error is gone. Now we are going to return a list of employee, and from here we can create a new employee. Here you can see like proper intelligence are always available. Let's create one more and then we'll stop. Let's copy this to make it fast. And let's go back to command line to first build to check whether it's got any error or not. Okay, we don't have any error. Okay, so now we can run this. Okay, so it's running. Let's go back to again our browsers. So here we have values, and instead of that we can have employee. And here you can see the JSON returns, which is like a standard stuff from API. Let me zoom in so you can see. Okay. So that is one thing. Now let's say if we want to add a package. Remember I told you to have a package. So we can add a package like this. Let's say I want to use entity framework core. So here you can add the package. So it's getting packages from NuGet. You can see there, and in that chpros file, here you can see like it is having the package. And here you can see like it is asking me to restore the packages. But from here also you can do this, or you can do like this .NET restore, which will restore all these packages. So it's pretty cool stuff, right? So it's very easy, and like it's intuitive. Even you can run from here also. So I think that's all we have now. I am going to open chat window to have questions and answers. Okay, if you want to see UI creation demo, I can do that quickly. Hold on. I already got one application, full-fledged application. So let's go to that. So here you can see like there are view stubs there, and basically like you can return any view or any other stubs. Okay. So let's create one more view, and here you are going to return view. Here you need to have view. Okay, and from here like same like the ASP.NET MVC framework, you can create a test.cs. Okay, I'm not going to put few other steps. I'm just going to put these steps from test. Is like it will take some time, and we are running out of time. Okay, I am going to modify this as test page, and now let's run this. Okay, it's running now. Let's go back to browser. Okay, okay, so here you can see like this is all built in, and we need to write our own. So let's put it over there. Here you can see like this is our test page, and here you can see let's modify something there. Okay, here we are going to write something crazy. Let's say you have welcome to .NET Tricks, and let's refresh it again. Here you can see like welcome to .NET Tricks. So it's same as the other Windows machine. So now let's go back to the question and answer stuff. Okay. So I am open for questions and answers. You can ask me questions in chat window, and I will try to reply one by one. Okay. So suit your questions. Nobody is having question? Yeah, Saurav, can you tell your question? Yes, Shivanand, you can. So I am taking one question from Shivanand that like if we want to host the web app only on iOS server on Windows, do we get .NET Core with full framework? Yes, you do get. The only steps you need to make sure that it is there in like supported version, like so after .NET 4.6 it is being supported, so you will get all these cool stuffs on Windows also. That's not a problem. How do we link a CS HTML view to a controller action? Man, so this is same thing as ASP.NET MVC. Like you just need to make sure that like you have same action name as well as view name, and you have same folder name which is there for your controller, right? So that is the other stuff. Another question from Mayank is like, can we convert ASP.NET app to ASP.NET Core? yes, you can. There are ways to convert it to ASP.NET Core. Even like you can do copy paste few steps there, but like the key thing to remember is basically like there are like certain features which might not be available. Like most of the stuffs are now available there. So I'm 100% sure that like it is fully migratable. But like earlier, like I have has some issue with some of the features which is only supported on Windows. For example, like you want to create a Windows service and you want to have that Windows service calling a call from the your ASP.NET Core. That is not possible in .NET Core. Gaurang Trivedi, like, do we have any example regarding Entity Framework Core? Basically, like you will find lot many examples on Entity Framework Core. So like search about it in on Google and you will get lot many stuffs. I'm sure like Selendra is also having some examples there. So basically it works and it works fine. There is a question from Hemant Nayak. I have Visual Studio. Can I run CLI in Windows? Yes, you can. Let me show you. I'm just going to have my Windows machine there. Okay. And I am going to write C only one version. So here you can see like this is the version same CLI which is there in Linux. So it is there cross-platform. So advantages to use ASP.NET Core versus Web API for services. Basically, like there are two main advantages there. One is like it is cross-platform, so it is you don't have to pay. Like let's say you don't able to buy a Windows license, then like you can use any Linux distributions, and with the help of Visual Studio Code, you can develop that application without any cost, right? For Windows also, like there are Visual Studio Community Editions, which is available for like 5 employees of a company or a small company. And the second advantage is like it is very lightweight and high performance. Like as I told you, sometimes it serves more than 2300% request than normal ASP.NET framework. So it is very high performance framework. And like for that, like you can definitely go for ASP.NET Core. There is a question from Manish Jain, like which web server you recommend. So IIS is not necessary for Windows. Like as I told you, like there is a Crystal web server which is cross-platform. So you can also run Crystal on Windows also. There are ways to do it, and it will run some same like the .NET CLI. So if you install like .NET CLI, the Crystal web server will always be there. And IIS is not required. Like there is a module created for IIS to just have that stuffs there. But in background, it is going to use Crystal server itself. So like the Crystal is the way to go. And why I recommend IIS on Windows, because like there are other cool functionalities of IIS, like you can see log and few other stuffs there. While Crystal is still in development and it is a lightweight web server, so you don't get all these full feature stuffs which is there for IIS. How to create a container-based application using .NET. So you can definitely create a container-based application in .NET Core. So basically, this the application which you develop, it can be ported into Docker. Like there are images from Microsoft for ASP.NET Core, and based on that images, you can create .NET Core applications. Any other questions? I am going to be there for next 5 minutes. Which book do you recommend to start ASP.NET Core? I don't recommend any book. If you want to start with that, go to docs.microsoft.com. Like it's pretty awesome, and like you have got all these stuffs documented there. And I would definitely recommend .NET Tricks uh, courses, because I have seen like Saladra and his team has done excellent job explaining each bits of ASP.NET Core. So either you can go with these steps. I have there is one question from Manish. I have a full project on .NET Framework 4.0. Can I convert this console app on ASP.NET Core? Yes, you can definitely. Like there might be possibility that like there are some functionalities which might not available, but like most of the time it is available. Any other questions, or should we close? Manish, you can definitely run your console app on Linux, but make sure that like you don't have that functionality like which is specific to Windows. Like for example, Windows Service. So Windows Service will not be there in Linux, right? Can we use Apache to host our ASP.NET Core Web? Yes, you can use Mayank Apache. If you search about it, you will definitely get it. Even like most of people are using Nginx, which is a standard web server for Linux. What percentage of .NET Core live for enterprise application? From my experience, like I have more than 3 applications which is live and which is used by our clients, and we don't have any problem like till now. So it's pretty stable. Even like there is one application which is there for .NET Core 1.0, and we have used .NET Core as a backend and Angular in Angular as a front end, and it's run flawlessly and still uh, works fine. There was one question that MongoDB is supported on ASP.NET Core. Yes, it is supported. The MongoDB community is working towards like creating their driver for entity framework. Like there are some, there is yet not official support from entity framework with MongoDB, but like there is a MongoDB driver from MongoDB creators itself. uh, Kalpesh Patolia says, like, is it safe to use in finance domain? Yeah, definitely. We have used it in healthcare domain, which is like more critical in the finance domain, because the thing is that like you are in finance, you are playing with money, but like in healthcare domain, you are playing with somebody's life, and still it works fine, and no problem. From the security point of view, like you have got all these cool stuffs there. Like you have ASP.NET Identity Framework for Core, which is like a OAuth implementation. So you don't have to worry about the security. So basically, you can do whatever you want to do for security. Like let's say, if you are having Node.js application, right? At that time, you can do lot many stuff with Node.js. So all things are possible with ASP.NET Core also. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you very much for listening to me, and thanks again, and hope to see you again. Yeah, Manish, tell me the last question. This will be last question. RTSP support. What is RTSP? I forgot. Yeah, real-time streaming protocol. Real-time streaming protocol is not there. They are working right now. Like basically, you can use SignalR. Like it's there in beta, so you can check that stuff from Microsoft. Okay, so That's it. It's been a wonderful time presenting you with all you guys, and thank you very much for being there with me. Have a good night. Thank you. That's it.